I'm so excited. We're back on My Why podcast. This podcast is where I speak with creatives and entrepreneurs about their passions and why they do what they do. And I just hope that somebody listening to this podcast today will be able to get some information that they need and fuel they need to just go after their passions and follow their dreams. And today we're going to be talking all things marketing and branding. And of course, who better to talk to than Justus Hawkins, a branding and marketing maven. He is the creator and founder of Luminous Branding, and he serves as an operations manager as well. And I can't help but mention we're both proud Morgan State graduates.
Go Bears!
Go Bears! And I'm just so happy that you're here today to speak with me.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm happy to get into it and just, have a regular conversation like we used to.
Yes, exactly, all the time. So let's go ahead and get into it. So where did your love for like PR and branding come from?
Honestly, y'all, I think I was just born for this. So like Simone knows me. If you know me, I'm a very sociable person. And I've always been very sociable. I've always been like very inquisitive, which made sense to like why I would like go to the school of communication. Because like if you have a conversation with me, I'm asking you 10 questions in the first 10 minutes because I want to figure out why you're doing what you're doing. And honestly, my major was originally journalism because I didn't know Morgan had a PR program because it was called strategic comms, and it was like I didn't know what that meant. So when I went there for a college tour, I was ready to meet Dean Jones. I was ready to hammer down the journalism department, and I ran into Dr. Marshall, and he was just like, "Oh, you're doing journalism? Okay." And I heard that kind of like that tone in his voice. I was like, "Is that weird?" He was like, "Well, only the best students take SCOM. Students in our program drop out because it's too difficult." And my uncle was with me at the time, and he turned to me and said, "If you do this, you're going to be fine." And I was just like, "Okay."
Well, shout out to your uncle. Let me give him because that changed the trajectory.
He's also a Morgan State alum. So
yes. That right there is that one little split decision that could change the whole trajectory of what's happening next. So that's absolutely amazing. So like I surprise, I actually used to be a marketing major before I was journalism. Surprise.
Okay.
Not at Morgan, but when I was in Arizona, I was in college. I wanted to be a brand and marketing major. So that was something I was passionate about before I went into fully journalism. But I think a lot of people have that interchanged.
It's like a lot of intersectionality between marketing, business, journalism.
So it always, some way, somehow, it always kind of crosses over each other anyway. But yeah, so trust me, secretly in my heart, I still have those things, still have that, but I don't do it full time. So yeah, it is what it is. So marketing used to be like a really special niche though. Like somebody who does marketing, they learn it. They learn certain foundations. But when social media came to play, how it kind of, I think it kind of shifted.
Oh, for sure.
The whole world of what marketing was. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's great. I think social media really gave people an opportunity to make their own careers for themselves, their own marketing strategies for themselves. I think that's why, like myself, so many people are upset that TikTok is going to be banned because it's given so many people the opportunity to start building their brands from the jump. Like everyone on TikTok doesn't have 1 million followers or 1 million plus. You have a lot of people there who've learned the algorithm, who've learned how to do outreach, who've learned how to do copywriting, who've learned how to do all these things, interacting with their audience, doing surveys, figuring out what they want. And I think it's beautiful. And because of social media, everything is so accessible. You can go on TikTok and type in Marketing 101 and look at the first 10 videos and say, okay, now this week I'm going to implement these. Now with, TikTok isn't the only social media app for sure, but like it's been the #1 search engine for everything for at least like the past 10 years.
And yeah, it has been a while.
And I'm sad to see it go, but I love the fact that social media has made things more accessible. Like I don't believe in gatekeeping information. Even I remember when I was at Morgan and I would tell people about opportunities. And I remember specifically in one class, I made a study guide, African diaspora, because everyone's got to take that at Morgan. I made a study guide and I sent it out to everyone in the class.
Wow.
And this girl comes into class and she's like, "Who sent that study guide out? That was real nice." I was like, "Oh, that was me." And she was like, "Oh, good, because I wouldn't have sent that to anybody." And I was
Wow.
like, "That's weird," because I don't believe in
But
gatekeeping.
think about just you being in college when you did that, how and her reaction to that. But imagine in like the professional world, how many people really gatekeep? How
Mm.
many people, when you say, you really just want to ask it? Because I'm not a big fan of like, let me, what's it called? Let me something your brain. Like, let me, what's it called? When you like want to get coffee with somebody, something
The
brain. You
is
know
it
what I'm
the
talking about?
water cooler conversation?
Yeah, like I'm not a big fan of like it's gonna come to me in a little bit. My
Mm-hmm.
my age is catching up, but no, but no, it's just in the professional setting. A lot of times, it's like if I give you this information, you might pass me,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like not necessarily because your path is going to be your path regardless of what you tell
Amen.
me, don't tell me, what you decide to say, what you don't decide to say. And a lot of times I think personally, this is my personal opinion, I think that actually hinders a lot of people not reaching out because you don't know what that next person has that
Mm-hmm.
could be the one thing that you needed. What are some important elements to businesses what are some important elements that business need to know when they're going into like branding themselves? Like what are some elements that you tell businesses or like that they would need to know in order to
Mm-hmm.
brand themselves?
So I always like to start with like, what are the brand pillars? So like, what are three things for your brand that you want to focus on? So, and I learned this from Peter, who shout out to Morgan again. Peter, who runs Tycoon Sports Agency. It's the first Black NIL sports agency.
Wow.
And when I was working alongside him, we had three brand pillars for each department. So, one of them was like a day in the life of the athletes. And there was two more I can't remember right now. But with any brand, so say for example, I don't know, you're starting a bagel shop. Okay, what are the pillars? Is it the taste of the bagels? Is it the convenience? Is it the location? Like, what are the things that we're going to promote and try to like bring people in for? So I think that's important. Knowing what you want your brand to do.
Hmm.
So not a lot of times, I'm not going to sound like I'm so popping right now, but I'm speaking into existence.
You are popping. I don't care.
So I have one client.
Don't
I have
listen
one.
to him. He's popping. Thank you. Go ahead. No, hold on, I got it. No, he's popping.
thank,
He's
thank,
popping. Go ahead. Go ahead.
you right. You right. I have one client right now. And we're working on his art portfolio, like how like make that like more engaging, how to make his content more engaging. And we were on a call last week, and he was like, "Oh, I'm also doing this, and I'm also doing that. You want help with this?" And I'm like, "Maybe, but like, let's stick with one thing first, because a lot of people that have an idea of what they want to do,
Hmm.
but then they'll have another idea, and they want to rope you in on that. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but you have to know, like, as a business, what you are and what you're providing with people. Nike provides lifestyle content. Nike really has posts where it's like, like it's people doing sports, but it's a lifestyle.
Hmm.
It's not just like, oh, I'm at the park. And Nike does a great job of like diversifying their audience too. I remember a couple of years ago they came up with like the first sports hijab,
Oh,
and
okay. Oh, yeah, yeah,
people,
yeah.
and people were like, "Oh my God, Nike's really just they're touching every market." It's me, I'm people, and I was just like, "This is really smart." So I would say for any business, just know what your business is. Try to think of three things you want to promote, whether that be like online, whether that be in person, and just build on those three things and be easy on yourself. You're just getting started.
Right, right. And I think with that, a lot of times, people, like you said, be easy on yourself. A lot of times people they want to come in and be Nike. Like as soon as I make this post, our
Hmm.
first post, we turned into Nike. But it's like, if you saw the Jordan movie they did,
Hmm.
how small Nike was. Nike didn't take off until Jordan, when he signed that deal, and the years they worked before that even happened. So
Hmm.
that is very good advice because I think social media in a lot of ways can make people think that it happens overnight.
Yeah, and
For
it does.
some people, it was a shot in the sky and it happened overnight, but that is like one out of a million.
1 in a million. And I
Happen.
saw I forget who said it. I want to say it was Charlemagne, but I don't know. It takes 10 years to be an overnight success. And that just like that blew my mind.
Yeah,
10 years to become an overnight success. Woo.
yeah,
But
because all that there's still that quiet moments and nobody knows you were working on it.
mhm.
So that counts.
I'm
It's just not in
saying.
the public. So that's fine. So speaking of like, let's say we're talking about branding. Do you think brand loyalty exists anymore?
Oh, for
Because so
sure.
many so many different types of, we're seeing so many different type of brands and companies and everything. Do you think that still exists the way it used to, or it's even
Um,
better?
I think brand loyalty probably exists more in the sense of like technology.
Hmm.
I think that's because we have like these different age brackets, and everyone's like Gen Z, Boomers, X, A. Now there's like a beta. Once, so when I first came to Morgan, I had an Android,
Hmm.
and I was kind of bullied into getting an iPhone. But it was like the best decision of my life
Mm.
because it's synced to my computer, it's synced to my iPad. Like everything is homogenous. I've lost my phone before, and I'm just like, dang. Well, got my computer, have my iPad, so like I'm not completely stranded out here. I can like still communicate and function.
Right.
So I think it still exists in like a technological sense. But I think when it comes to like clothing and things like that, you have some people who don't mix brands. But I mean, people. I don't think people really care about that anymore when it comes to clothing. I'm going to wear a Kanye shoes with Ralph Lauren pants with I don't know a H&M top. Like people don't really care about, in my opinion, clothing brand loyalty.
Well,
But
a lot. Remember in the '90s they did.
yeah,
Oof.
in the '90s, it was like, oh,
Carl was it Carl Canai? I don't want to say it wrong, but and cross colors and those were brand. You
hmm
better have it from head to toe. You know what I mean? So
but now, I mean, say another athlete gets a shoe deal tomorrow. If that shoe deal is Nike and you like the shoe, you're going to buy the shoe. And if they
yeah,
drop one tomorrow's Adidas, you're going to buy that shoe. Like
yeah.
people don't really. I don't think brand loyalty exists in like a fashion sense. Somewhat in like a like somewhat of a houseware sense, possibly like different
Hmm.
like pots, pans, things like that. Some people do that, but I think because also Amazon, the giant, you
Mm.
can get so many things for different prices. People, well, they just want what works and what's quick and easy.
Yeah, and why do you think Jordan has been able to keep the brand loyalty he has for so long?
I
Because
think he has a really good product. I
hmm
think it's integrated itself into sports like beyond basketball,
hmm
and it's integrated itself into fashion. And he himself, I know there's like so much. There's always like these like weird think pieces about how he's like a terrible person, but he really does give a lot back to communities and really does do a lot to help. And unlike a lot of people, he's very quiet.
mm.
He doesn't open his mouth much. He lets his work speak for him. And I think a lot of people in today's time, they're so quick to always try to prove someone wrong or defend something. When in reality, especially in today's time, and if you're not doing anything wrong,
Yeah,
because
because yeah, now
we're
you
gonna
get
find the
caught.
receipts.
Yes, yeah.
People will go back in that Wayback Machine and find a
Mhm.
tweet from 2012 and make a whole conspiracy. But most times, if you're just quiet and you just keep doing the work, it'll go away. Like he's never come out and said like, "Oh, my shoes are causing this," or "I'm, there's no ethical billionaires." He just minds his business. He gives back, and he just keeps it going.
I think, all right, this next person
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna mention might ruffle a little feathers, but I do love her. Okay, why do you think Beyonce's branding doesn't always stick the way that branding and like when she does merchandise,
Mm-hmm.
so let's say like when she had how was it her
House
clothing.
of Dairy
Yeah,
on.
House of Darion, or it might stick for like 2 seconds. Even down to her hair care, you hear
Mm-hmm.
something about it now, but it's nowhere near a Fenty. The way it just it sits into a market where it's
Mm-hmm.
supposed to sit. It kind of like gets a thrill and then it dies down. I don't know why that happens to her things. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
So my thoughts. Excuse me. So I had this thought a while ago. You can never have too much face cleanser. You can because I have Fenty too. You
Mm-hmm.
can never have too much. You're always going to need more. And then Rihanna is also kind of like, if you go like Savage Fenty, she's like in this like niche lingerie, kind of like luxury leisure type thing. I also have Ivy Park,
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
but
Right, yep.
there's only but so many shoes that I need. There's
Mm-hmm.
only but so many tracksuits that I'm realistically going to wear.
Right.
And I've met people who like, oh, I have like 80 Ivy Park pieces, and I'm like, where are you going to wear all that to? Like that in itself is a wardrobe. You don't need anything else. So
Right.
for me, I kind of feel like the hair care. I think she's still working on that because
Okay.
we all know like hair care,
Yes,
you
that's one
can
of the
never have enough.
yeah.
But I think where Rihanna kind of excels in it is, um, you can never have enough skincare. She has this like we always see the diversity. When
Mm-hmm.
she had
Oh,
the
uh
albino colors
shade.
down to
Yeah.
like the darkest of the dark, she's really giving you and pushing it in front of you. This is for everyone.
Right.
I think Beyonce with Sacred, I haven't seen too much like promo of it with like it affecting like everyone's hair type. From what I have seen, it's like marketed towards black people, which
Mm-hmm.
isn't bad. But you want to make a product that's for everyone. So I should be able to use it. The white girl should be able to use it. The
Yeah.
white man should be able to use it. And I also think that Beyonce gets this weird like vitriol for being a capitalist. Like people would like hate her for it. But it's just like she's like the rest of us.
And she's not going to touch the people like physically be really like face to face with people the way Rihanna
Mm-hmm.
is going to be too. Let's be honest here. Beyonce is a superstar and she knows that and she walks like that.
Mm-hmm.
And she moves like that. So when you're talking about like how Rihanna will get on Instagram and be talking to her fan,
She did a whole runway show.
not gonna happen.
And she and Rihanna does those like the well TikTok's going away now, but like those like platforms where people just like interview random people in the streets.
Right.
They interview Rihanna. Beyonce's not going to do that. She's not as personable, and for good reason. It's a part of her
Right.
brand. But if she were to hop on live and do Blue's hair,
See, that would how big
Sir's
that would
hair,
be.
the internet would go
So
crazy.
crazy.
We would be like, oh, for not only are we getting a look at the famed Carter Knowles children, but I can see how this is affecting my daughter's hair, my son's hair. But we're not going to get that from Beyonce.
No, and that's because we already know that. It's not surprising that we don't.
Mm,
You know what I mean? Why did you decide to branch out and start Luminous Branding? What's your vision for it?
sure. So when I graduated from undergrad, so I graduated Morgan 2020. Shout out to the pandemic class, we did it.
Oh yes,
Um, and my first job working was in ad tech in New York at a company called Ogilvy on Wall Street. And when I first got that job, I thought it was going to be because it was like customer campaigns and things like that. So we worked with brands like Mattel, Snapchat. I'm trying to remember the other ones. Adobe, a couple of like community college and like other like things like around like the world. Pretty much with like CPC, like running ads and stuff like on their websites, finding the best apps for the ads to run through, finding the best websites for the ads to run through, monitoring the progress, and then doing these like elaborate decks about like how the company has increased your brand.
Mm.
Now, originally, when I got the job, I thought it was going to be like we were like in a Nike boardroom or something. Someone was going to say, "Hey, you're a young, fresh HBCU graduate. How do you think we can impact this sector?" But that just didn't happen.
Mm.
It was very interesting when I was doing that work. I was like, okay, I'm kind of doing what I'm aligned doing. Like I'm working with these brands. I'm interacting with the people. I'm learning how to be a liaison.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got to make a deck at the end of this. Okay, so and then we have these things called customer personas, which is like me developing pretty much a whole deck into who we're marketing this to, and to like parents, children, whatever, to get the most activity on the clicks and the videos. From there, I went to do recruiting in New York. That was also okay, but I always had this like passion. Like I'll go to my manager and I'd be like, we should like do these things to kind of like bolster more support like within the company and we should do these like campaigns, and we should do this. And he was kind of a wet towel.
Yeah.
Like, no, no, no. And I'm just like, okay, whatever. So when I moved to Pennsylvania, so I'm operations manager of a restaurant and food truck company, which is like the food trucks are 5 years in, and the restaurant we're celebrating a year being open. But like they would always come to me and be like, okay, like what are some ideas you have that we can promote events, that we can meet with city officials, that we can do these different things. And I was just like, you're asking me to like help your business? Okay. So I took it as like a challenge. So like they're like, okay, so we want to be on like podcasts, we want to be in publications, we want to do all these different things. And I was like, okay, cool. So I reached out to so many. This was like my first like 30 days before I was even like an official employee. I'm looking at podcasts, I'm looking at publications, I'm like writing pitches, I'm like doing all these different things. And the one that responded back to me first was Visit Philadelphia.
Wow. Okay.
And they have it is the premier spot for all information Philadelphia, and they have this podcast where they focus on like different like restaurants, eateries, and things like that. So when I emailed their department, I gave them the whole spiel. They were like, "We'd love to work with you."
Wow.
That was like one of the best moments of like me working here. I was like, "Oh my God, this is happening! Like this is what I love to help connect people. It's always been something I've been great at. I love seeing okay, Simone has this experience doing here in marketing, and she used to go to school in Arizona. You want to do marketing, you want to travel to a different state, right? You should go talk to Simone about that." Like I've always liked connecting people. So even up till now, recently, like we're doing a Valentine's Day event, and they're like, okay, we want people to come out, and I'm like, well, why don't we partner with some local apps, like dating apps or things like that,
Oh,
card games, things
smart.
like
Yeah.
that. Oh, if you come and eat here, we're going to do a card game upstairs. Let's do this activation. Of course, if you know anything about Philadelphia, they love the Eagles. The fanaticism is on a different level.
Yes.
So I just developed like a whole campaign as to like how to bolster the city's fanaticism and tie it into what we're doing. That includes, of course, people coming out in their paraphernalia. Are we going to do like game day sliders? What's the build up to the game? You can't post we're having an event Sunday when the game's on Sunday.
Yeah.
So
Right.
you got to kind of keep that going. I was the other day I was Googling Eagles super fans or just things that are going on in the city related to Eagles people. How can we rope them in? How can we tie them into the overall campaign and make it a success? I just love, because I've always had this like a love for making things happen.
Yeah.
So like when you give me an idea or like a question, I'm like, okay, how can I transform this? How can I make this into something bigger? And I mean, thank God for that gift, because it's just what I love doing, no matter where I'm at.
Right. Right. So, like, what advice would you give an up and coming person who's in branding, marketing,
Hmm.
NPR? Like how to make their way on the landscape? Like, what advice would you give someone?
I'm going to quote Ardeen Jones
Mhm.
loosely, because I don't remember exactly what she said. But learn how to write.
Mm.
I think a lot of people get by in college with group projects, and
Mm.
that's a different conversation for another day. We did a lot of a lot of
Gonna throw away that key. Go ahead, cause
a lot of people get away on the backs of other people, and they don't really get a chance to develop those fundamental skills.
right.
So when it comes to, I mean, this is just for the world. Period.
Yeah. Period.
You have to learn how to write, and if you're going to a school of communication, you have to learn how to write. You have to learn how to tone in writing. You have to learn how to pitch. You have to learn how to give it all in a way that kind of wants people still wanting more. So
Mm.
when I'm pitching us to different people, I mean, I must have sent at least over 60 emails last week just to different event planners in the city, party planners, people who own other restaurants, people who own funeral homes,
Huh.
trying to get their business, trying to get them to work with us. And I would say writing is fundamental and comprehension.
Mm.
So, And it's not easy at first. You write your first story, you look back on it in 10 years, you say, "Oh, this is
I was
terrible."
just talking to my friend about that. I'm like, I looked at some of my old stuff. I was like, I made it.
And
Ooh,
I would
Lord.
just say but do the work and don't like. I
Yeah.
always tell people when I'm telling them I'm explaining what I'm just doing. I'm excited to do the work because if you're not excited to do the work, you shouldn't be here. It's not always going to be fun, but it should be exciting.
Right. Right. It should, and it's something. It doesn't feel like work.
It
It
doesn't.
feels like what you're supposed to be doing. You feel aligned.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. Like people are trying to. The thing is, you hear all this. It drives me crazy. Like every two things you see on social media is find your purpose, find your purpose, find your purpose, find your purpose. But really, it's find your alignment
Mm-hmm.
because your purpose can be 50 different things. It really can.
It
I
can
don't
be.
think it's one like this is the only thing you can do. No, you are a multifaceted person. So you just take on all that, but none of that stuff feels like work. It doesn't feel. It's you have stressful moments because everybody
Yes.
but it doesn't feel like work, and you would do it for free. Let me say it like that. You would do it for free. Those things that you were aligned with, the things you would do for free,
And the
even though
thing
you
is,
don't get paid. But
I I've done it for free, and I think that's what kind of put a battery in my back. So of course, like once you go to Morgan, you're always tied into people.
hmm
And I was talking to a couple of people who I used to go to school with, and they were all just like, "Oh man, you are so inspiring. You inspired me to do this, and you inspired me to do that, and I would have never known about this if you didn't take me under your wing." And now me being an adult, because in undergrad, you need money, but you're okay. As
yeah,
an adult, I was like, I inspired all y'all. Okay, I need a check. Now,
right.
check for that inspiration. I see you're doing big things. I see you're at BET. I see
hmm
you're at Viacom. I need a little check.
hmm
So I thought to myself, oh, I don't want to keep inspiring people for free. I mean,
I mean,
like,
let's be honest here.
if
Yes.
you got the gift, do it. And then Simone, I go to Planet Fitness and I'll be at the front desk for like 20 minutes talking to the employees. What do you want to do with your life? What do you want to do?
right. Right.
Developing whole campaigns on the spot. I'm like, okay, so this one guy, one girl wants to do child health care, and the other guy wanted to do fitness. I'm like, let's merge the two. Let's do a Philly Fun Day. Let's create an email inbox. Let's do different things. Let's start working with city officials. Let's go to different schools. Let's create the media. And they were like, oh. I'm like, yeah, let's
I
make it a
work
reality.
right now, but I'm gonna call you. When I go.
Now, when I leave this gym, have
Right.
the contract signed so we
Right.
can make it happen. So I just love hearing ideas, and because my brain is like, if you've ever been around me, so many people always say you look so serious, or you look like you're always thinking, and it's like because I am.
Damn.
Like even walking down the hallway, I'm like, okay, my next class starts in 15 minutes. If I go back to my room now, come back, how many people I'm going to walk on the way? Oh my God, it's cold, it's rain. Let me just stay here. Like
Yeah.
I'm always thinking of how to do the next thing.
Right. Right. And I mean, that's a good quality to have because you're proactive instead of reactive. And
Whew.
that is, people don't realize that being able to be proactive will save you a lot of headaches.
Mm-hmm.
And it will also create better relationships
Mm-hmm.
because people can see that you're serious about what you're doing. You're not just waiting to see, like, waiting for somebody to do it for you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it's just people do things for each other, but I'm saying like you're you're serious about what you're doing. Because nobody's going to take you seriously if you're not serious.
No.
If you're going to be lazy about it, they're not going to take you seriously. But if you can, be clear about like, look, this is what we should do,
Mm-hmm.
and you're confident, and then people will be confident in it because they're just like, well, dang, I can't see the vision, but if you feel it like that, it's probably something.
Exactly.
No,
And I would say, shameless plug.
no, come on, come on.
This isn't my book, but this is a great book. It's called Leveraging Up: The Key to Launching Your Entertainment Career.
Mm.
It's by Stacey Milner. If you know her, she is the founder of HBCU in LA. It's like the premier HBCU internship.
Oh yeah,
But this book alone, it's not even just about the entertainment industry. It teaches you how to be proactive. It teaches you how to be like a great assistant, and it teaches you how to think forward. So, say for example, Simone, you're my boss. I already know. you need 10 different things. And because you need these 10 different things, you need them to be as complete as possible when I send them to you. So, because of the nature of my role, I work directly with the owners.
Right.
They're doing 20 different things at any given time. So when I present these ideas, I have them fully listed out. I'm like, this is this point, this is that point, this is how we're going to do this, and this is how we're going to do that. Come to the table prepared. If you want to meet, like I love LinkedIn because you can network with people. If you want to network with someone on LinkedIn, be as specific as you can immediately. Hi, my name is Timothy. I I saw that you do marketing for Nike. I'm curious about their Southeast West division. I saw his latest commercial, his latest drive. I'm interested in learning more about analytics behind the campaign. Because that way, you're the more direct you are, the more they can help you and direct you in the right place, and you're not wasting time trying to get somewhere.
So this podcast is called My Why. And the
Mm.
reason why I named it that obviously is because everybody has a why of what they do behind what they do. So what is your why? Why do you continue to journey on this journey when you could be doing so many other things? Like why?
I I think it's just like what I'm naturally good at. Um, I think this journey, why I'm doing it, is because I see what I have done, and I've seen how things have come to fruition of just me, just like opening my mouth and like speaking on things. And I feel like if I can keep doing this right, if I can help these people get to their goals, if I can help these people expand their brand, increase their whatever they're looking to do, it's only going to make the world a better place. Because I'm not like working with people who have like nefarious endeavors, like oh, I want to do this so I can overthrow someone else.
Yeah.
I'm doing this because I just naturally love helping people. Like I can't help it so much to the point. So like when I moved to New York, my parents were scared because they were just like, don't go talking to strangers like you usually do. Okay, like don't pop in some stranger face, asking them what they
Yeah.
want to do with their life. But
Yeah.
like it's just who I am. If I'm out at a bar, if I'm out at a party, I can learn everything about you in the first 20 minutes if you're willing to share.
Yeah.
So I think that's my why.
You just gotta always remember your why. And once you go back to that, it's a reset button every time. You
It's a
know?
definite reset. And I'm just when you're going through those days, like Simone said, just remember why you're doing it because you're gonna cry.
Hmm.
You are going to cry some days unexplainably. But you got 15, 20 minutes to cry. And once you're done that, you got to kind of get back on board.
Yeah. Yep, that's true. I gotta get. I have a segment on here called "I Heard
Mm.
It on the Gram,"
Ooh.
and so I'm gonna play like a audio clip on just something that's about for you that it has to do with marketing, and just tell
Okay.
me what your thoughts are. Okay.
In Japan, a new concept coffee shop is gaining traction on social media. All ordering happens through a hole in the wall. Customers take a flyer from the wall, hand it to the cashier, and get their coffee. No unnecessary interactions. It's an introvert's dream, and the unique idea is a hit, attracting thousands of loyal customers. Even local reporters have come to feature this cafe.
It's interesting, isn't it?
That is interesting.
Why do you like? So what are your thoughts on it?
Well, as an extroverted person, I think I'll be talking to the hole in the wall like, hey, how's it going back there? I
Right.
think that's very unique. I think they've really captured a niche market of people. They say coffee, right?
Yes, it's a coffee shop.
Um, from what I
Literally a hole in the wall.
from what I understand, people want their coffee quick. They don't want a lot of conversation. I think that that's a really dope concept. You just get it and go. And I feel like the world is becoming a bit more like individualized. Like people
Hmm.
really, everyone on social media is an introvert. Nobody wants to go out, but everyone's outside. I think this is a very unique concept. I think that's cool, honestly.
Yeah, yeah. I thought I found that and I was like, oh yeah, I gotta ask you about that because it's just so
Like
because there's so many ideas, and it's like you think when you thought of it all, then something else can come up.
that's I used to like really watch Shark Tank and just
Oh
be
yeah,
like, what else is someone going to create?
yeah.
A flying lawn chair that's also a beer can opener.
How? Like, and it works.
And it works. And I'm just like, who thought of this?
Right. So that's sort of interesting. So last segment I have
Mhm.
is called Be Encouraged, and it's something that I do for my guests. So before every episode I do, I always sit and I think about something I want to give to my guests, like a
Mhm.
word I want to give to my guests to encourage them. And what I got for you was, you heard that song, they don't want no she don't want no puppy, she want a big dog, right?
Mhm.
So for you, I got, they don't want no puppy, they want a big dog. It's your time to be a big dog. That's what I got for you. That came to my spirit. And you have done so much work leading up to this point. You're the big dog. So accept it
Heard.
and grab it, and you know what to do, so do it.
Received.
So that's what I got. That
Received.
hit my spirit.
That's also this is how you know God is real. Um, my uncle is launching a queer dog like clothing brand.
Mm.
But the fact that you just said that, I'm just like, what? What?
Yeah,
God is real.
he is. He is, and it's always specific to every guest, and that is the first thing. It was. I was like, "That's interesting," but I'm like, I
Mhm.
want to write it exactly how I got it.
I
So,
appreciate it.
or whatever,
I'm claiming it and I'm receiving it.
yeah. So whatever that means to you, take it. So,
Thank you.
but I thank you so much for being on this episode today. Like, it's a very great conversation. I thought as great as I thought it was going to be, and I just hope you nothing but success. And just I can't wait to watch your just everything just keep flourishing for you. And
Thank you.
yeah, so thank you everybody for listening. I hope you got something out of this episode, and just keep subscribe and keep in contact. And it's going to be more people I talk to. And yeah, bye.